close.
Okay.
Now you can minimize it.
Officer Whiteside, it's just Got it. All right. Welcome to the Services Committee meeting for the City of Sunbury on June 1st, 2022. Can I get a roll call, please?
Damon Capel.
Here.
Tim Ghost.
Here.
Marie Neff is absent. John Grumman.
Here.
3 present.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion for approval of minutes from our May 4th meeting.
Second that.
Roll call?
Damon Capel.
Yes.
Tim Ghost.
I will abstain.
John Grumman.
Yes.
2 yeas.
Judging by our aloneness in the room, there are no visitors tonight. So we'll move on to our unfinished business. And I will admit, I have not had a chance to look through our contractor recommendation. You want to bring me up to speed on the street sweeping proposals then?
I will, Mr. Chairman. So beginning on page 4, we received 2 quotes from companies to perform street sweeping services for the city. The first one was from Columbus Power Cleaning, and the other one, which is also attached, is from Progressive Sweeping Contractors, Inc. The staff recommendation is for approval of the Columbus Power Cleaning based on primarily price, but both are qualified firms. So just as a reminder, we had talked about adding this as a street maintenance matter. I think Steve had indicated that it was one of his priorities to get something like this started, a program like this started. We asked for bids from, I think it was 5 or 6 sweeping companies. Our goal is to sweep twice a year. Once we get into a regular schedule, that would be early spring and late fall. But obviously, we'll be bringing this one on if we agree to approving the contract or authorizing the work. Obviously, we'll be doing one here in the summer and then one again in the late fall. Columbus Power Cleaning proposes to sweep all the city streets, both sides of the streets, approximately 40 miles, at a cost of $9,500 for the initial cleaning and then $7,500 for each cleaning thereafter. This proposal is for just the city streets, doesn't include any parking lots at the moment, but that could be something we might want to add in the future. So that's what we've got. We basically, I think, are asking the committee to, recommend to the full council, authorization to proceed with the work with the contractor that you recommend. It is on the council agenda as an action item, if you're ready to move forward.
I don't see any reason that it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was sorry. I just wondered what some of the other quotes.
Oh, and then the other quote we got is for $25,000. The only other one we got. Yep.
Oh, shoot.
25 and 25. Yeah. Quite a bit higher.
Yeah, quite a bit higher. Thank you.
Did they express why they were so, do we have any indication why they're so much higher? Because I see that Columbus Power Cleaning kind of gave some work specifications to what they were going to do, where it looks like the Progressive Sweeping just gave us a bid with not a ton of detail other than specifications of what they needed. So I didn't know if there's any indication of what 25,000 gets you over top of the 9,500.
And we put an RFP out.
Yeah.
Then we asked
A request for quotes. We didn't really do the full scale proposal. So what I did is I identified firms that do street sweeping, reached out to them directly and sent to them the description of the work that we were looking at.
and that description included the 40 miles.
Yes, yeah, it did.
Okay.
So, I'm speculating a little bit here. The second quote is from a firm that's not in the central Iowa area.
Okay.
And so maybe, the deploying the resources, maybe that's just a more expensive proposition for them.
I see.
So we have an initial sweep in the spring and then a follow-up for maintenance 6 months later, roughly.
They've indicated to me that they would do it after the last leaf pickup of each year. So that would end up being, it could be early December, I guess. Late November, early December.
And this helps us with our stormwater program, MS4, right, Wes?
Yeah, I think Wes.
How does that happen? How does that work? How does that help us?
It's just a method of what's called the first flush after a significant rainfall, when your streets are clean, it prevents all that material from getting into storm sewers and then goes to the stream. So it's just one of the 9 minimum controls as part of that MS4 that is that you can document when you do your annual report with EPA, that street sweeping is a method there to keep your stormwater system clean.
And we talked earlier in the week, and actually that might have been yesterday, but this is the first time we've done, I qualified earlier. The street sweeping in 2 or 3 years, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's been more than 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, or longer.
I think Mr. Martin indicated we did it when he was the village administrator. We've not done it in the time that Steve's been here, so he's been here for over 4 years at this point. So somewhere between 4 to 15-ish years.
Sounds like it's overdue.
Oh, and there you go, more than 10.
More than 10.
I don't remember ever paying
Yeah.
for it.
Did Columbus Power Clean, did they provide an hourly rate just in case? I know, I think we requested that, but I didn't see that for anything over.
Yeah, they did not.
Okay,
So
okay. Just curious.
So do we need to take any action, or since we have action on council agenda, we should be taking care of?
yeah, I mean,
We have,
when I spoke with Mr. Bream about it, he agreed that, if you recommend an action out of the committee, they can take action at the full council meeting. So I don't, other than, agreeing that you're comfortable in moving forward the recommendation, I think that's the only action you really need to take.
Yep.
Maybe we can do that with a motion when you're doing your report.
Well, if it's an action item, is that on the
Yeah.
purchase in the new
It
order?
is, yep.
Well, that's right. We haven't
New
done it.
business.
It's new business purchase.
Yep.
All right.
This was 9,500. You want it listed as full 17? Or you want it listed as a 95?
Yeah, that's a good point. So we listed it at 95, which is the first cleaning. Actually, that may be a good point. Do we want
I
to
think
authorize
we
the
do
2
that.
cleanings?
2 claims.
Yeah, the first several 17,000.
Yeah, I only have it listed at 95, so I think you want to make it 17.
Okay.
2 claims.
Yep.
That's right. This, on the council agenda, it says 95 plus 75, right?
Yeah.
We can do that.
They require full payment up front, or I would like to at least wait
Try
for,
and get it paid until it's done.
until they're done, right?
Yeah, these things don't take too long to do. I mean, it's,
Okay.
a day or 2 at most to kind of get through the city streets.
What
We-
do you do about parking? Are you going to advertise for that?
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, we'll definitely have to work through those issues. Notifying the community, make sure that they're, the parking is, they're not up against curbs to the extent that we can manage that. I mean, not everybody's gonna be out of the way, but try to get as many vehicles out of the way as we can.
Does that include the housing developments also, or is that, it does, okay.
All right.
All right.
Moving on to the Let's Have repairs.
You wanna take that, Wes?
Sure. Steve asked me to contact Dale. I did speak with Dale this morning, just to see where things are at. And as you know, we've received 2 quotes for the repair. One from M. Zimmerman in Delaware, Ohio, and one from We Dig It in Centerburg, Ohio. And
We dig it?
that's the name of it, yeah. It's WEE Dig It LLC. So We Dig It.
Very on the nose.
I had worked with another small excavator just through some Johnstown work and recommended that Dale contact them. And I contacted them. They're TLV Excavating. They're in Alexandria, which is just east of Johnstown. So I contacted them. Dale did a follow-up call. They have a meeting scheduled Monday to get a 3rd quotation, just to see. These 2 are very close. The one from Zimmerman was $35,880. The one from We Dig It was $34,900. So we're going to get a 3rd quote there just to see how things stand. and report back. Did have some conversation with Dale just about long-term fix there, what makes sense. So the situation is there's a very old 8-inch clay sewer pipe. I actually looked at some of the old sewer records. And the 1940 map that Letts Avenue is one of the original sewers as part of Town Square in Letts. So it's a very old sewer. So it's at 82 years. So, and we have the gardens area, part of the gardens area tied in, which has some infiltration and flow, which means water from downspouts, foundation drains, clean water sources coming in. These repairs aren't necessarily going to absolutely prevent another basement flooding or a flooding situation that's caused due to the upstream clean water getting in that sanitary and exceeding its capacity. So that's kind of another project that we got to deal with to figure out how to reduce that. And then, you know, there was, we did look at a cost option as far as putting a liner in that sewer. And without knowing, you know, exact capacity needs, if we need to go to a 10-inch, for example, let's not spend money putting a liner in on the 8 right now. You know, the majority of the pipe isn't, it's okay. It's been probably cracked along that crown where you might have seen that picture where it's cracked along the crown of the pipe. It's probably been that way for quite a while. So the immediate thing is getting that repair done at that point, and then there's another location. So there's 2-point repairs, and then to kind of step back, re-televise it, look at the gardens area. We also have a bottleneck concern, Dale and I do, at Columbus Inlets, where it ties in, it comes down that slope. There's some issues there that need to be looked at. So that all needs to be investigated, but the immediate thing is just these 2-point repairs in the mid-30 range or less. So stay tuned. We'll get a third quote on Monday and see where that stands. You know, to move forward with this, I don't know if we want to do a motion approval up to 50,000 because there's going to be pavement repairs on top of the point repair, so that we can just have the authority then to move forward once we do have the third quote is a thought. So that's a quick update on Letts.
You're not looking for any motion tonight, right, Wes?
We could wait. I mean, it's not a, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think we're looking at an emergency here. I think it's been in that condition for a while and
Yeah.
things are, we're getting into a dry period of the year. So
Mhm.
say that now, we're going to get some rain events here, but
Right. So we get that third quote and we decide at the next services meeting in a month and move forward from there. That works?
yes,
Okay.
we could do that. If that's what you think.
Sure. All right, moving on to refuse collection service agreement. I saw that we're still in the renewal
Yes.
phase on this. I don't know if that's a correct word, but so essentially we could stick with what we have, right?
Yeah, and that's the recommendation. So in your packet, we've included a draft letter, but maybe the more important thing for you to look at this point is the agreement. So we should have numbered the pages. We didn't. No, they are.
Numbered them. I thought I did.
Yeah, this agreement was, no.
That's fine. So this is an agreement that was executed in February 21.
yes.
I have highlighted in the first section, so it's page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I think it's page 9.
Page 9.
7, 8, 9. Okay, page 9. So I've highlighted that there's an option to renew for 2 additional 1-year periods commencing with April 1st of 23. And again, the other one could be April 1, 2024. Both of them, under the current agreement, allow for a maximum increase in rates of up to 2% for the first year option, and then an additional 2% for the second year. Again, that's the maximum they could charge. I mean, it's conceivable that they could do something less than that, but given the inflationary state that we're in
Yeah.
and the cost of fuel these days, it's not likely that they would do less than 2%. So the conversation among staff essentially was, well, one, we've been pleased with the performance of local waste services. We have received a couple of minor complaints since we entered into the new agreement, but again, those are pretty modest when you consider the number of contacts they've had with residents.
At least 3,000 homes probably or locations served on a weekly basis, right?
There could be. It
And
could
if
be.
memory serves, they offered us more services for the same money than what was the other one that we were looking at? It was Rumpke, that's right.
Yeah.
Because I remember being involved in that last year. And they gave us a much better deal.
Yeah.
Uh,
We had mandatory recycling.
Yeah, that's right.
And
And it was optional through local waste.
So we have a little bit of time. I mean, you don't have to take action at this point. But we thought if we could at least get the reading started, we don't think that this requires necessarily an emergency. I think we also want to, send a signal to local waste that we're happy with their services and intend to continue the services with them. And so, yeah, wanted to see if that's where the services committee was. If you're hearing other things that maybe we haven't heard, or if you want us to do any additional research, we can do that. Again, this is one item where we do have the first reading on the agenda.
It is tonight. Yeah, I saw it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they just needed to be,
No,
it just,
Actually, it's not three readings, sorry. It
Is it just on
automatically,
as a
yeah,
action?
that's right.
Let's see.
Motion,
Yeah, Mr. Breen
It is,
indicated it goes straight to a vote. So
Okay.
again, if you're not comfortable with it, we can certainly wait. There's no magic to today, but that's at least what we were trying to get started.
we've completed our due diligence and we're not expecting, and we don't have to do anything else from the city's perspective publicly, right?
Right. That's right.
Yeah. And they need 90 days advance notice. I thought I read in this.
Yeah, so it's 90 days if we want to do an extension. Again, the first one expires
April
I'm
1.
sorry, April 1st of 23. So 90 days is what, February 1st? Or no, sorry, January 1st. Yeah, January 30th. Anyway, you know what I mean.
Do you see any downside at all, Daryl or Wes or Kathy, about moving forward tonight?
We don't. I mean, I don't. And I know Steve does not either. I talked to Steve.
Dale, do you
specifically
think there's any possibility if we were to, and I'm not suggesting this at all, I think we're ready to go, but if we were to wait, that 2% could creep up to 3 or 4% if the inflation, if we look to do this and to renew this or is this locked?
Yeah,
If we
that's
look
what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't think they can
Okay.
pursuant to this
This was
agreement.
based on the signatures in February of 2021, right?
Okay.
Of this
I
earlier.
didn't know if they could
Yeah,
match
last year.
that and
Yeah.
increase that.
Now, I think that there is a termination clause in here, and maybe if they got behind the skis a little bit, maybe they would, exercise a termination agreement, but
Mhm.
we haven't heard that from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, maybe we'll just ask Dave.
Yeah, I was gonna say-
This minor legal review opinion tonight, if he has any qualms about moving forward.
Okay, Safe Streets for All grants. I saw very little about this. Please explain what it is.
Take it away.
Is this based on the recently passed federal bipartisan infrastructure law? Wes?
I'm just starting to dig into it a little bit. I did get some information from our funding group, who has been tracking this, and I can go over a few bullet points here. So it's a federally funded program directly to a municipality, so you don't have to go through a local MPO like Mid-Ohio Regional Planning or the other ones around the state. So it's a direct grant opportunity. The floor's 200,000, the ceiling's 50 million. Applications are due September 15th. We do have to prepare what's called an action plan, or basically a safety plan of the community, and there are grants available for that as well. So you have to go through a little bit of a planning step there, and then there's a implementation grant as part of that. So we are going to look into this a little bit further and present some more detail, but it is an opportunity to look at any safety issues
Yeah.
throughout
Absolutely.
the city and find some grant money. There is also a webinar in June. I made a note that one of our funding group had mentioned, and they'll be attending that just to take notes and pass them on to, and then I'll forward everything that I have. And our transportation group as well is tracking it pretty closely. So if anything comes to mind as far as safety issues, intersections, anything like that, let Steve and Daryl and myself know. We'll start tracking it. But that's a quick overview if that helps.
Yeah, just looking at page 18, you see that, you're reading that too.
Yeah.
There's lots of,
I'm remembering now that I did read this when the mayor sent it out earlier. And I remember thinking, boy, they seem to want to give a lot of money away for not actually doing anything. Because some of this seems more like developing plans and putting groups together and things like that. But there's some stuff in here that seems to be like maybe we would have an opportunity, correcting some risks. I know one of our daycare teachers was involved in an accident out on the 71 interchange, right by the McDonald's, where the right turn light, somebody sped straight through that intersection when they only had the right turn light. And that makes me nervous every time I use that intersection myself too, because people don't realize, they don't know, they don't pay attention to the signs, whatever the case. Maybe it's an odd intersection anyway. So, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Could these funds be used to assist at the McDonald's and Wendy's to add any more turn lanes or widen that area there? Because I know that's a bit of a bottleneck because of the school. I'm just reading about.
yeah.
I wonder if you could argue that any school-based improvement is a safety need.
Good question. We'll have to look at the criteria. As far as ODOT safety money, I know that's more of a reactive safety funding than it is proactive, so you got to have the crash records and the incidents in order to qualify, because there's so many intersections or areas around the state that have a record of a safety issue versus trying to be proactive and prevent something from happening.
That's what this seems like. This would be more of a proactive type
Yeah.
of program. Because as I'm reading, applying low-cost roadway safety treatments, the first bullet point, I talk about system-wide, such as left and right turn lanes at intersections, center line and shoulder rumble strips, wider edge lines. So I don't know if it would fall under that or not, but.
Yeah, I think that could come out, like I mentioned before, that first step is an action plan or a
Yeah.
safety plan. So you could survey all the areas and make lists of where.
I think there's an
potential
opportunity, sorry, Wes,
No, go
to
ahead.
tap into this from a bikeway and hiking walkway trail perspective. I mean, they do list these items here as possibilities. Maybe we can find a way to get that trail from down here, Ohio Fallen Heroes, find that other phase going north, connect the Miller Drive and widen Miller Drive sidewalk into a 10 or 12 foot trail all the way to the school. It's a possibility. Something to think about, huh?
Mm-hmm.
don't think we've looked at safe routes to school program either. I know we've talked about that in the past, but there's actually a plan prepared as part of that ODOT funded project. So that might be a good opportunity to maybe combine them.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we could talk with the chief, see what he's got to say about most hazardous intersections.
Well, I know talking about the schools, another one that I hear about all the time just from people in the area is the South Miller Drive right in front of GRE. That's a nasty one
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because there again, people like to take the turn wide.
At that curve.
There's people crossing, students crossing the road sometimes at that crosswalk. So
Also coming out of Kroger, going over to where Jersey Mike's is, you either can go left or right, but you want to go straight, there's no straight.
yeah, you want to go straight,
Oh,
you just
yeah.
draw a card and take your chances.
Yeah. My wife and I joke that all the time. Apparently you can't go straight. You have to go left or right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You can't go straight.
You made it longer with the jacket than I would have, Daryl.
Yeah, it's hot.
It's very.
I'm sucking it up.
All right, so moving forward, we'll just expect more to come on that one. And then project ideas for OPWC.
I can take this one as well. These applications are due every year, first Friday in October, if I remember. So just need to start looking at potential projects for next year. I do want to take a look at the grant limits on that. So we're in check with the district as far as the grant ask, and we're not asking too much, but we want to get it, I would think, at least above the $300,000 level as a minimum grant.
Yeah.
If we start going over 500, it could get more difficult because the pot of money is only so big, and District 17 is a large OPWC district with a lot of communities in it. So we need to pick a project. We need to figure out our local match. We need to take a look. We certainly can look at the other streets in need of paving. I've thought about the Letts Avenue sanitary sewer as a potential project. Obviously, that might be a good
Hey,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just want to start to list out ideas, thoughts on any infrastructure projects there that you guys might be thinking about.
When it comes to these grants, is every year a brand new year, or
Yes.
if we did not get funding the previous year, do we have maybe a better shot at it in the subsequent year?
I mean, the point scoring system, doesn't really account for that, but
Right.
the integrating committee, as they're looking at that, keeps that in mind with the discretionary points. Just that, hey, they haven't had money in a year or two. I would think that is looked at kind of off the record. That's how they would look at it. There is a category if you're unfunded for quite a time period that you can actually score some points, but a couple years isn't gonna create any points in that category. But again, with the right grant amount and knowing that you haven't been funded, and we'll make sure that that's presented in the cover letter as well at that last time, because it's been 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years.
Now, we use this primarily for streets, or have since I've been on
Yeah.
council, but it can be used for a pretty broad array of things, right?
Water, sewer, roadway, mostly repair and replacement of existing infrastructure. You can make a case for new extensions. There typically has to be an economic development initiative with that. That also helps existing infrastructure. I know when we did Vernon Street over here in the corridor, we repaved that and did the brick pavers. That had an economic, development piece just with all the businesses along Vernon there, which helped that application. So health and safety, economic development, and very aged and failing infrastructure are kind of your hot buttons on that funding.
Excellent. What did you say was the deadline on that, Wes?
It's October, the first part of October, but we
Okay.
like to have everything buttoned up in September. It needs a council approval and so on, and there's quite a few forms to fill out, so. Like to have project finalized because we have to do some cost estimating and some field work. July, we should start to finish our target and then get our homework done in August and then be ready for council approvals in September and then submit in October. It's a good time.
So we'll need to identify a project or two in the next 30 days, right?
Next, it could be pushed out till August, but let's start to develop a list. I'll follow up with Steve and Daryl and Brad and Dale as well, just so that can be on a weekly meeting agenda and
Okay.
try to figure out where you want to attack that.
Sounds good.
Back to that Safe Streets for All Grants federal grant, with Mayor Pete initiative. Is that matching at all? Is there a matching requirement or is that just purely 100% coming from federal government?
I haven't had a chance to dig that far into it to see how the funding actually works. If it's a grant, if it's a reimbursed grant, if it's what match is required. I would imagine that there's going to be some match on it.
Yeah, they call it an implementation, part of an implementation grant. Have you ever heard of that, Wes?
That's the second step after the action plan or the safety plan. Then that's the actual
Okay.
where you select the project and then write the implementation grant for that particular project based on the recommendations in the action plan or the safety plan. I would imagine being a federal grant, it's going to be competitive. Pot of money that they have is pretty large, so if there's an opportunity to even look at a bigger project or team with a neighbor, whether it's the county, township, things like that, I'm sure
There you
the
go.
integration of governments helps there as well, like when you do it through a team grant.
All right, and the last item on the agenda is Lowhead Dam update.
Yeah, so this one I just put on the agenda as an information item at this point. So the last 3 pages in the packet have pictures of a low head dam that is on the Big Walnut Creek that now has been damaged. You can see on, I guess it's the next to the last page, there's a portion of the concrete that's been compromised, right? It's broken. So according to the nearby property owner, he thinks that it happened when the kind of the ice broke and there was some debris kind of pushed downstream. And by his indication, it happened sometime this past winter. That said, I've given you a couple of other pictures that show that there are some logs in the area too. And this, other residents have raised concern about just keeping the backside of this dam clean so that it continues to function the way that we need it to. The other thing I would say, so one, it's damaged and that's, of some importance to the city. What might be more important about it is that right nearby the dam here are the water intake pumps, or at least old water intake pumps associated with the reservoir. And one of the items we'll talk about on the full council agenda is this grant that we have with the Department of Natural Resources. You may recall we've talked a little bit about preserving the city's ability to pull water from the reservoirs if there's some reason, whatever that is, an emergency reason, or whatever reason. But given how low the water levels are at the dam because of this break, that's something that would need to get fixed in order for us to be able to pump water out of the creek and backfill the reservoirs the way it used to be done. And again, I'm not saying we're in the water business. I don't think we are in the water business, but it's an infrastructure issue that is percolating a little bit. Asked Wes and his team to just kind of look into it, maybe figure out what the options might be in terms of and the cost associated with repairing it. You know, it may be more than just this piece that's missing. I mean, there may be more of the dam that's actually compromised as well. So not asking for any action this evening, just want to put this on your radar that there's this infrastructure issue out there that's at least something for us to start thinking about.
So that's our property. We're responsible for maintaining it.
It's our dam.
Yes, yep, it's the village. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
put in when the water treatment facility and the reservoirs were installed, so it's your jurisdictional responsibility.
So what the resident said at the third to the last page there, you can see that there's a log there, but there's also kind of this, I don't know, the low levels of the soot that's gathered here. What they told me is that when the dam is operating properly, this is all covered with water. So that, you know, again, the depth of the water is higher. You can see how low, you know, the water levels are once the dam broke. So again, then that would make the pumps not functioning. There are other issues with the pumps too. So again, not trying to suggest we're heading down the water path, but again, a topic to at least keep on the back of your minds. All right.
All right. Oh, I almost forgot. So Mr. Grumney asked me a question earlier today, and I realized I didn't have or remember the answer to it. But last fall, we were talking about sidewalk repair in Sunbury Estates, in Tim's neighborhood,
Mhm.
and how that impacted our tree management in the area, or rather how the tree management impacted the needed sidewalk repairs.
Mhm.
And I don't remember where we left off with that conversation. I believe the last step that I remember being involved in was we were getting ready for a potential meeting with some of the residents of the area. And I'm not sure if that happened or not. I just wanted to
Yeah, that.
get an update on that. I don't know if you remember more of that.
Yeah, Steve had getting ready to queue up the town hall meeting and
Mhm.
invite Sunbury Estates residents and have a couple, 2 or 3 options on the table to think about. I think that's where we left it.
So has that been scheduled, or I need to follow up with Steve to kind of
I'll
see where
look
this?
with Steve
Yeah,
on that.
I think so.
And that was.
That
the
was
next-
right at the end of, or right as we were getting into late fall, I think.
Okay.
I
Mhm.
think. it
I
just
think
got-
you guys had identified the 3 options. Okay.
And if memory serves, only one of them was a really good option. but
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we present 2 options.
Yeah.
And
I know we had some options.
invite the public feedback and decide how to
Yes,
take it
exactly.
from there, right?
Yeah. And for the life of me, I can't remember exactly what the options were at this point either. It was a combination of we'll replace the trees, you repair the sidewalks, we'll replace the trees and sidewalks, but you have to put new trees and sidewalks in if you, or there was a couple different
Okay.
variations that we were looking at.
Got it. Okay, well, I'll follow up with Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
Does this sound familiar to you, Wes, in any way? I mean, you may not have been involved at all.
I wasn't involved
Yeah,
in that.
okay.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
nobody involved is here except for me right now, I
Certainly
think, so.
I was
And the-
ancillarily.
Yeah, he's a resident, so he's interested.
There you go.
Okay.
Keeping a pulse on it. That's for sure.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad John reminded me today, because I had forgotten about that completely. Okay, does anybody have anything new or for good of the?
I saw this picture on in the packet.
Oh, yes.
What was this about,
Well,
Darryl?
that was just connected with the Ohio Public Works grant. So that's showing, I think, that's a picture of an emergency grant project that could be funded with OPWC money.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's all. It was just an illustration.
We thought that was Let's Avenue.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I thought it was.
Be a little bit more pressing, right?
Then it would- Right.
Just put up the yellow tape, we'll be fine.
Get a big roll.
Get a big-
Bigger roll, yeah.
All right, well, it looks like we'll get a few minutes back tonight, so we'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Roll call?
David Capel,
Yes?
Andy Oates,
Yes.
John Gunman,
Yes.
3 yeas.
Motion for some air conditioning.
Yeah.
I don't